2008, I took Grover North's pledge and I signed it. As a matter of fact, I signed it in Afghanistan and I mailed it back to him. But the most important thing you have to understand, I took an oath and I took a pledge to the American people back in 1982. I don't need to sign 50,000 different pledges about my character and my integrity. I will not do anything to hurt or harm the American people.
Next question, Robert Ross, Deerfield Beach. Why do multinational corporations pay no taxes, such as GE? Why do Republicans insist on the rich not paying taxes?
You know, the thing is, it's not about insisting that the rich pay no taxes. Another thing, when you look at GE, GE is, definitely a good friend of the current presidential administration. Yeah. The question should be asked is, why is the private sector CEO also been double tapped to have a taxpayer-funded position in this administration? That's right. And let me just add this. I am no friend of GE because back when we had the question about the alternate engine from the Joint Strike Fighter, the F-35, the word got out that there was a certain young freshman congressman from South Florida that was not going to support GE coming in and getting an alternate engine contract. And they sent the CEO of GE Aviation to come in and try to strong-arm me and promise me things here in this district. And I told him, based upon the numbers and the calculations, I didn't care what he promised me. I was not going to have the taxpayers pay for the GE.
Maria Montiglio, Boca Raton. Why are you turning your back on the middle class?
Well, I found that hard to believe. I'm not turning my back on the middle class. If you go back to the neighborhood where I was brought up from, there was middle class and lower middle class. I think the most important thing that you have to understand is about creating economic opportunity in the United States of America. And the thing is, I wouldn't be standing here if some people had not invested in me, who I am. And I think that when you look at some of the corporations and you look at some of the people here in South Florida, everybody talks about, killing the rich. Who do you think has all of these philanthropic balls? And who do you think is donating to places like the Maybowen Center? Who do you think is giving up their resources to make people in America to take care of? Who do you think looks at a person in the middle class and say, I want you to be able to get into the next stratosphere? So this is what it's about. There are two choices in the United States of America. It's either about equal opportunity, it's about equal achievement. When I grew up in the inner city, my parents would have never thought that I would stand where I am. But they believed in the equal opportunity in the United States of America. I don't believe in creating victims. I don't believe in making people dependent upon government. I don't believe in the government coming back and taking achievements and working based upon equal achievement. I don't believe in bailouts. I think if you're in the private sector and you have bad business practices, so be it. Bye-bye. It's over with. That is what I believe.
What about the bailouts in the Wall Street banks?
I just said that I would not have supported the bailouts for corporations. Yes.
Speaking of bailouts, next question. West Palm Beach. Congressman West, first, thank you for doing what you do for our country. Would you vote in favor of a federal bailout for states like California, Illinois, and New York who haven't balanced their budgets?
Okay, do you want the short answer or the
I think there's only one letter.
It's no. It's no. Because let me tell you what happened. How many people remember Pavlov's experiment? If you reward bad behavior, you get more bad behavior. If we don't make our states understand that they have a fiscal responsibility to to balance their budgets and take care of the people within their states, then where does it end? And that's the problem. We must understand what are the constitutional mandates of the federal government. And if the federal government starts taking American taxpayer dollars and going out to a state that has been fiscally irresponsible, then remember the slide that showed the debt, the deficit, it will just continue to get worse and worse and worse.
Next question, Louis Bott, West Palm Beach, or Palm Springs. If you vote against raising the debt ceiling, what ways do you propose gaining revenue without cutting education, health, SSI?
Let me tell you about raising the debt ceiling. As I said previously, this will be the 73rd or 74th time that the thing has come up, and it's becoming a debt suggestion, not a debt ceiling. There are 4 critical conditions that I need to see happen if you want me to support raising the debt ceiling. And it ties back to the information we talked about tonight. The first thing, we must have a balanced budget amendment for the federal government. It cannot continue. The second thing is we have to cap federal government spending. Federal government spending is 20%. I think that is what the historical average has shown. And that keeps it close to where the revenues are, so we don't have these exorbitant deficits. The third thing is this. The corporate business tax rate we have, the 35%. Cut it down to 20 to 22%. No more loopholes. If you don't want to play by those rules, then we penalize you, because we're trying to set the conditions for you to be successful. The fourth condition that we must implement, when you reach a certain percentage of getting to the debt ceiling, there should be automatic spending cuts to kick in. So that we never ever have to worry about raising the debt. Because the fear that I have, if today is 15 trillion, then the next day is 20 trillion. And then a few more years down the road is 25 trillion. And then the next thing you know it's 30 trillion. It's about showing that the federal government is willing to be fiscally responsible.
Lisa Tilson from Boca Raton. Do you believe that Social Security contributes to the deficit?
No, I think the problem with Social Security is that once upon a time it was in an independent trust fund account. And the politicians took it, they moved it to a general operating account, they used it for their wasting spending in Washington, D.C. And I think the most important thing is to get more Americans back working so that we can get the money back into Social Security. We can replenish this fund, we can close it off in that independent trust fund account. That's the most important thing we can do with Social Security right now.
You got it.
Next question is from Marty Murray, Plantation. On page 63 of his book, The Flat Tax Revolution, Steve Forbes writes, under the flat tax, 65 million returns, or 42% of all returns, would owe no tax. Is this really what you want, 42% of the Americans with no skin in the game, living off the other 58%? Under the fair tax, every American would have skin in the game, since the fair tax is strictly a consumption tax.
Well, this is my concern. Once again, I mean, we already have a progressive tax code system, where 47% of wage earning households don't pay any taxes. I think with a flat tax, if you're out there earning wages, you know, we flatten it out 15 to 17% across the board for everyone. That's how you get people into the system. This is my fear about going straight into a fair tax. I hope everyone can understand what a fair tax is. It's a consumption-based tax. If you don't eradicate and eliminate all other forms of taxation in the United States of America, the next thing you know, you have a value-added tax. And that is my fear. And that is what has happened over in Europe, where you still have federal or, national taxation. Then you have a national sales tax on top of that. And so the thing is, there are a lot of people out there that you got to kind of gradually bring them into this thing. You can't shop their system and all of a sudden they go and they're paying the 23% sales tax. So that's why I believe that a flat tax is something that we can immediately implement. It simplifies the tax code, something that the President said in his State of the Union address, and it broadens out that tax base, and it incentivizes it, it gets more money flowing in our country. And then as we can start to develop the next level, the next phase, which means you got to repeal the 16th Amendment. You got to get rid of the IRS. if you want to get to a fair tax rate consumption.
Next question, Ann Dion, Fort Lauderdale. Ryan's plan is disastrous. At the top, tax the top 2%, tax corporation profits, and stop raping the middle class, I believe. Where are the jobs?
I just talked about the Small Business Encouragement Act. I'm sorry that it took me about 102, 103 days to get that piece of legislation going, but I had to learn the ropes. This is what I want you to understand. Everyone right now is saying Ryan's plan is a disaster.
Yeah, it is.
In 1978, people were cheering when they came up with this government plan called the Community Reinvestment Act. We said that every American would have the right to own a home, that we would lower standards in mortgages and mortgage lending, that we would create an agency called Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. What happened 30 years later? A financial meltdown as part of our mortgage system. So I got to tell you, I think that this is an opportunity to get us on a path to prosperity. I think that when we saw government get interjected into the mortgage industry, we see what happened 30 years later. It's not a good thing. So I stand.
Next question is from Scott Horn, Boynton Beach. Will it be possible to actually stop deficit spending by Congress?
You know, this is what you have to do. The people that you send to Congress are a reflection of you. It really is. And, we have sent people up there to Washington, D.C., and I got to tell you, it has nothing to do with party. It has everything to do with your ideology. It has everything to do with your principles. Power is consolidated in Washington, D.C., because that's where they have taken your taxpayer dollars and put it up there. You can throw a rock and you can get about, 10 or 12 bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. That's not the way that we're going to restore this economy. That's not the way that we're going to get rid of these incredible deficits that we have. If we can start to get a new crop of individuals to Washington, D.C. that don't want to stay up there 30 years, 35 years, 40 years, 47 years, but they want to go up there and they want to rectify the situation with this economy and get away from the special interest lobbies, and get away from their own self-interest, then we can see the deficit real turn around. That's my commitment to each and every one of you.
Next question is from Jackie Smith, Boca. What is yours and the Republican plan for going forward to enacting the law of Paul Ryan's deficit budget that will surely make all Americans happy, especially the Medicare portion?
Well, once again, as I have said ad infinitum, is that we're not doing anything to the people in Medicare right now. What we have to do is try to introduce a free market, free enterprise solution to Medicare that gets it away from the fee-for-service to a defined contribution. It introduces competition where the patient, where the person, the individual is in charge of the insurance company and not the insurance company being in charge of the individual. Let me give you a great example. 2004, I retired from the United States military. And I had my exit physical at that point. I've not been to see a doctor for any health reasons since I retired. I get out, I work out, I run, put in about 28 to 32 miles a week. I try to watch what I eat, and I do have private health insurance. Now, why is it that at the end of the year, if I have not used that health insurance premium, it doesn't roll over to the next year? Or why is it not refunded back to me? Or why